The Silk Road was more than just a website. It was the digital underworld's most infamous marketplace. Born in 2011 and operating on the deep web, it connected buyers and sellers from all over the globe, facilitating the exchange of illegal goods that ranged from drugs and weapons to counterfeit passports and hacking services. But what made the Silk Road stand out was not just the illicit nature of the transactions. It was the way it operated, using Bitcoin as its currency, offering a level of anonymity and privacy that allowed it to function largely outside the reach of law enforcement. Silk Road was founded by Ross Ulbricht, a man who believed in a world without government interference, where people could trade freely without the constraints of laws. Ulbricht, using the alias Dread Pirate Roberts, envisioned Silk Road as a utopian marketplace that would empower individuals to make their own choices. Ulbricht had a vision for freedom, a vision that led him to create one of the most infamous websites in history. The site was hosted on the Tor network, a service that masks users' IP addresses, making it nearly impossible to trace users or site administrators. The Tor network, combined with the use of Bitcoin, allowed Silk Road to operate in a world where traditional law enforcement had no clear way of reaching it. Silk Road quickly became a thriving hub for illegal activity, but it wasn't just a place for criminals. The site attracted people from all walks of life, those seeking privacy, people tired of government regulations, and even those interested in experimental drugs. In its prime, Silk Road had over 100,000 registered users and thousands of listings for illegal goods. What set Silk Road apart from other illegal markets was its reputation for security and trust. Buyers and sellers could leave reviews and rate each other's transactions, creating a feedback system that helped build a sense of legitimacy in an otherwise shady environment. As Silk Road grew, so did the complexity of its operation. The site was carefully monitored by its administrators to ensure that illegal activity was kept under control. Drugs, fake IDs, hacking tools, and even weapons were being bought and sold on a massive scale. Silk Road wasn't just a marketplace, it was a symbol of defiance against traditional legal systems, a place where people could freely exchange goods without fear of being caught by law enforcement. But as with all illegal operations, Silk Road's success came with its own set of challenges. Law enforcement agencies from around the world were beginning to take notice of the site's rapid growth. The FBI, DEA, and other agencies launched an extensive investigation to uncover the identities of the people behind Silk Road. Despite the anonymity that the dark web provided, law enforcement was determined to track down those involved. The investigation was slow at first, with agencies having difficulty penetrating the encrypted world of Tor. However, as Silk Road became more popular, it also became a bigger target for authorities. Ulbricht's decision to run the site with a centralized structure rather than a decentralized one would eventually become his downfall. As the FBI and other agencies began to target Silk Road, Ulbricht continued to operate under the guise of Dread Pirate Roberts, communicating with users and overseeing the marketplace. He believed he had built an untraceable empire, one that could not be taken down. However, in 2013, law enforcement struck a significant blow. Investigators discovered an online post that linked Ulbricht to the Silk Road and traced his IP address to a library in San Francisco. This discovery ultimately led to his arrest on October 1, 2013. Ulbricht was charged with a multitude of crimes, including conspiracy to commit money laundering, conspiracy to commit computer hacking, and drug trafficking. The authorities found evidence that he had orchestrated over $1 billion in transactions, much of which was tied to illegal drugs. His arrest was swift and dramatic. Ulbricht was taken into custody while sitting in front of his laptop in a public library, his site's administrative page open and visible. This arrest marked the end of Silk Road's reign, but the story didn't end there. Ulbricht's trial became a high-profile event, drawing attention from the public, the media, and law enforcement alike. Ulbricht's defense team argued that he had been coerced into creating Silk Road, that he had handed over control to others. However, the evidence against him was overwhelming. His conviction was inevitable. On May 29, 2015, Ulbricht was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case against him had been built from months of investigation, digital forensics, and undercover operations. Silk Road's shutdown left a massive hole in the dark web marketplace, but it didn't signal the end of the era of online illegal trade. In the aftermath of Silk Road's fall, a series of other similar marketplaces popped up, each trying to capture the same customers that Silk Road once had. Websites like Alphabay and Hansa attempted to fill the void, but they too eventually faced law enforcement crackdowns. The digital landscape had been irrevocably changed by Silk Road, and the authorities were more aware than ever of the dark web's capabilities. Silk Road's legacy lives on, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a symbol of the early days of cryptocurrency and online marketplaces. It demonstrated the potential for decentralized systems to both empower individuals and facilitate illegal activity. The story of Silk Road is one of ambition, ideology, and ultimately, downfall. It was a marketplace that embodied the tension between freedom and lawlessness, a platform that allowed people to trade anything they wanted, with no regard for the consequences. For Ross Ulbricht, the Silk Road was more than just a website. It was a statement of belief, a belief that the government should have no right to control what people buy and sell. But in the end, it was that very ideology that led to his capture, the closure of Silk Road, and a permanent mark on the history of cybercrime. The legacy of Silk Road continues to echo through the digital world, serving as a warning of what happens when the line between freedom and criminality becomes blurred. Today, Silk Road remains a symbol of the dark web's potential, both for good and for evil. It was a revolutionary concept that ultimately succumbed to its own ambition, and its downfall continues to shape the way law enforcement deals with digital crime. While Silk Road may be gone, its impact on the world of online crime and the use of cryptocurrency lives on, influencing new generations of criminals and law enforcement alike.